Okay, go to towardanarchy.com and look for February 20th. If you're not live with us, just click on the episodes button, and 2022 February should be right there. You'll see it February 20th. You see Tony Peck is going to join the conversation here. He's a director and writer, along with Dan Gringle, of the cartoon There Goes the Neighborhood, and it's this fantastic, fun little political cartoon, satire, different topics, but I like the underlying premise of this show, the idea that the whole world lives in one small town, one little neighborhood, and the idea that you can sort of run up against anybody and any of their ideas and the things that are going on in the world at any time. It really leaves a great big open playing field for Tony and the other creators to put together these different topics. So it was really great when I reached out and asked, who should I be talking to? I do this every once in a while. What conversation should I be having? And Tony reached out and brought me this wonderful little cartoon that I could share with you. As always, I do that. The links are there for you. There's you can follow There Goes the Neighborhood on Facebook and find out more about it. Just keep track and watch what's going on, what's coming up. And then you can actually watch episodes of it on YouTube. And if you like what you see there, do as we always say to do around these parts, whether it's across the network or just on this show in general. Put your money where your mouth is and support the things that you like to see that they continue to grow. So there's a link there to the There Goes the Neighborhood Patreon page, patreon.com/TGTN, if you want to support what you see and what you hear us talking about today. Tony, thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I really think it's cool what you do. So I as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, yes, I love cartoons. I love satire. I love the political arenas that we tend to find ourselves in. And so for it to all come together like that in this one little package that you have, I was really impressed. And I like what you do. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. So, yeah, it's definitely political and satire and all that. And I think one thing that differentiates us is we touch on things that probably no other show or cartoon or any form of I don't know, media besides podcasts and stuff touches on. Like Jean-Luc Brunel just died. Has any cartoon ever mentioned him?
Right. I mean, there might be one here or there along the way, but
You think so?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, it's one of those things that I find this interesting as over the years as I've watched a lot of cartoons and in particular cartoons and the creators of them, and it's funny, there are people like the South Park guys where they do their show in such a short period of time that they keep it very current and hot. But the reality is that when it comes down to it, they have no idea. They don't remember it. They'll sort of make all of these episodes, and we'll find them super important and impactful, and there'll be commentary on the events of the day. And you ask them about them 10 years later, and they have no concept of them. So I would say that, yes, you could probably get somebody mentioning that this individual or that person has died or had some influence in the world. But whether they actually meant it or knew that there was anything important behind it, I would definitely say that sets you apart.
Yeah, well, Jean-Luc Brunel is kind of under the radar in terms of the whole Epstein family of characters.
Well, and
even
what
in
happened?
The news, I feel like he gets kind of swept under the rug.
That's your shirt right now. Nobody, you guys can't see it if you're listening live right now, but you'll be able to see the video later. He's wearing a shirt. It's a masterclass advertisement, if you will, for Hillary Clinton, and she teaches how to fake a suicide, and of course that's what just happened again, hanging in a cell. Oh, yeah. Not very original. They've done this before.
Right. Yeah, they're rebooting the same script over and over again.
Well, you do what works, right?
I
repetition.
mean, yeah, Hollywood loves reboots now. They rebooted Ghostbusters, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is getting rebooted now. So why not reboot the old Clinton suicide?
Right. Well, that's it. I
It's
mean, go back to the
timeless.
well that's it. It's timeless, especially when you're talking about Clinton. Boy, that anybody dies now with any questionable did they know something about the Clintons? That's the joke always. Anymore, anybody who dies, all of these stars that have died here recently. Bob Saget, he's one that is another one that I saw. What do you know about Hillary? That sort of thing. And then, of course, there's I don't know why I'm talking about this, but just because the Bob Saget thing came up, it's there's a little weird that he died. And then, of course, there's questions about vaccines, and because he had just mentioned how he'd taken a vaccine. But then they're suing to block the release of the information about the medical reports and stuff, and the police findings on it, and he's sort of got broken eye sockets and stuff. It's really weird what happened with that. Um,
Wait, that's the Bob Saget one you said?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I heard something where he had multiple fractures to his head or something.
Yeah, like the base of his skull, and then his eye sockets. Like that's the kind of thing like somebody beats the crap out of you, right? Your eye, the orbital sockets are busted.
Right. Yeah, they were saying he might have had head trauma and then didn't like think it serious enough to get attention, then went to sleep and died.
Well, and I guess the reason it sticks with me is because I whacked my head really good getting into the car the same day they released that information, to where I wasn't like out of it or anything, but I felt like my bell was a little bit wrong. I was just a little bit, for a couple of minutes. And so that news broke that same day, and I was afraid to go to sleep that night. There goes the neighborhood. The idea that you can, I love this idea that you can take all of these, any given character, you can run into them in the town, because you've narrowed their little world down to where everybody has to potentially come into contact with each other. So it gives you this whole wide canvas to paint on.
Mm. Yeah, so the original premise was, like you mentioned earlier, the entire world lives in a single neighborhood. So what that means isn't necessarily that there's like 7 billion people in one
Sure.
neighborhood. It's more like each house in the neighborhood represents a different country. Like there's the U.S. house, behind them's Mexico, across the streets Canada, down the roads like Israel, and each house. So and then within each house, each family member kind of represents like a different like microcosm of ideologies within said country. So like the father of the American house is kind of like the old white conservative type. The wife is like the kind of neo-progressive liberal wife, and the son's kind of like the like a socialist commie type. And I don't know, you kind of get the shtick. So that was the original premise, and we've been doing that for a few years, and then lately we've kind of been a little more loose with those, and we've kind of not necessarily tied ourselves to our original characters. Like recently we just did when Ghislaine Maxwell was having her trial, we did a parody of Ghost, the movie Ghost, where we turned Epstein and Ghislaine's relationship into like a rom-com, like a romantic comedy. So we parodied Ghost, Pretty Woman, and Armageddon, kind of all three into that. So, and there weren't really any characters from the original show. It was kind of just based around all characters involved around the Epstein circle.
Well,
So,
you've set yourself up to be able to do that. I think that's great. I love the last one. I just was watching the vaccines are cool episode, and that was obviously that was Saved by the Bell, right? That was Zach and Slater.
right. Yeah. So we tried making it like those old 90s PSAs where there's like a moral message and it's very heavy-handed, whatever message they're trying to get across. So yeah, it's called Vaccines Are Cool because it's showing how cool and awesome it is to get vaccinated. But whether you think that's sarcastic or not is, I guess, if you want to, however you want to interpret it.
Yeah. I mean, you leave it a little bit open, but it's fairly obvious. I think
I mean,
again,
I think so. I think
yeah.
it's funny when people watch it and they think we're being serious about that, and it's like, wait, what?
Wait,
Like
yeah,
that's what you took from it? I mean, all
that's what
right,
you
but
took from it. Like, I love when he shoots him.
yeah, natural immunity doesn't work.
Natural immunity
Natural,
doesn't work. It doesn't
no, it's
stop
not cool.
bullets. Yeah, no, that's great. That's exactly the sort of thing that all of a sudden, wow, it's it's timely. It's talking about something that really is a very serious issue, but is completely laughable to somebody who's been paying any attention. Really, I mean, we went through 2 years of this COVID nonsense and everything surrounding it. To come out the other side of it and everybody just shrugging their shoulders like, yeah, no big deal. It's all over with. What did we do?
Yeah, we have a few COVID episodes because I mean, obviously it's been ongoing so long, but we try not to do the like a million in a row. We have like a whole like bank of COVID ideas, but we can't. I mean, we haven't done them all yet because it's like, what do we just do COVID every single week, every month?
Well,
I don't know. It
well,
gets boring, but
yeah, well, that's do some new tricks, do something different. If that's the same trick that they've been doing for the last 2 years, but you see that it wears out. It's obvious that it's taken its toll on people, and they've had enough of it. And
yeah.
and and they're still. It's funny that they're still trying to push it here and there in places. Oh, old people and chronically ill people feel left out of the narrative now that it was about you all the time supposedly, and so now all of a sudden you're being left out of the narrative. What? What you it's not just you making this. Obviously it's a pretty big production. It takes a little bit to produce something. How long does it take you to put together, say, a sort of 5 or 10 minute episode?
You're right. So it is a big production, and it's not just me. It's me and one other person.
Yeah, right. With some friends here and there too, but
Well, no, I mean, in terms of actually making the whole thing, it's literally just me and the co-creator Dan Gringle. I mean, I personally animate everything. Me and Dan do probably 95% of the voices. Like some female characters we are not us, but I mean some of the females are us. But in terms of actually like making the thing, me and him do like everything really.
what kind of tools are you using? What are you using to do your art with?
So the art is through a program called Moho Pro. It's kind of, I mean, when we first made the original episode, like I have no background in animating,
Mm.
so I just had to teach myself as I went along making our first episode. So that's why it's crude, but it's also intentionally crude because it's kind of like funny and kind of became like our style now, I guess you could say. But it's also crude because there's no other option. Like I'm not skilled enough to make it any better than it is. But
Well, that's probably the case of a lot of creators. I mean, look at South Park. With talking
right.
about South Park, that's exactly how they started with the most crude tools that they could find to make their reality come true. Uh, that's I know what you're going through when it comes to that because I'm in the same boat. I love the art and I love to do all those things. And I recently started teaching myself DAZ Pro 3D and using that and working with uh, some of the different programs for creating digital 3D images because I want to create a cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you some tips if you need. Off
Well,
air, I don't want to bore
we
everybody
might
right
have
now.
to stop and chat about that at some point. That might be kind of cool. It's just I think that cartoons are one of the great mediums for. They always have been. I mean, when you go back years and years and years, and you get the single sort of political cartoon that has just that one panel, and there's a huge message inside that one little panel.
Satire's dangerous. The powers
It's
that be
certain.
don't like it, that's for sure. I mean, we've
Yeah.
almost got kicked off YouTube like 10 different times already.
Is that right? Have you battled with him?
Yeah, we were one strike away as of a few weeks ago from getting permanently deleted off YouTube. because if you get 3 strikes, then your channel gets deleted permanently. We've
Right.
had more luck on Facebook. I don't know why. I guess Zuckerberg enjoys us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe he's watching.
Yeah.
What 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 have you violated in terms of YouTube? Why do you have 2 strikes?
So yeah, there was a few. So one of them was medical misinformation for one of our COVID episodes,
Okay.
where we turned it was actually last January we came out with it when the vaccines were like first really getting going, and we made the vaccines into like a western, like an old like spaghetti western, where the new like outlaws were Bill Gates and Fauci like pushing the vaccines on people. So we got flagged for medical misinformation for that one. Because we were saying when they got vaccinated it was like an old west bandit shooting someone essentially, where you instead of getting shot with like a magnum, you got shot with the vaccine, and they said it was medical misinformation. That was one strike.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, then the other one was hate speech. We did West Side Story,
Sure.
the old musical. So we did a parody of West Side Story with when Israel and Palestine were like back in the news a few months ago, when there were like those newest bombings and stuff going on with that whole feud. So instead of what was it, the Sharks? What were the 2 gangs from West Side Story? The Sharks and the damn it, I forget. I remember when we were writing the episode. But instead of those 2 gangs, we made the 2 gangs Israel and Palestine. So we made it a whole musical. And yeah, you might have missed that one because I took it down from YouTube because I was afraid we were gonna get our 3rd strike. So I temporarily took it down, that episode. But we got one for hate speech for that. And then the other one that's kind of funny is we made a Christmas special last year, and we went through like the whole royal family and a lot of like another kind of Epstein slanted episode where we went through like the whole like the Pizzagate conspiracy. We kind of made as if all that was true. I mean, whether it is or not is whatever. That's a whole nother
beside the point. Yes.
I mean, yeah, child trafficking is real. Whether the whole Pizzagate aspect of it is real, I mean, maybe aspects of it are true, but whether the pizzeria was like a den for these people, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we
not
in this
important.
episode,
Yeah.
no, yeah, in this episode we portrayed it as if it's all true because it's fun to do that. But there was a segment of that where Hillary Clinton's teaching through song how to cook adrenochrome. You know, that thing that the Q folks love to talk about. So they said that was cyberbullying Hillary Clinton. So we got a strike for that, and they took down that video. And then so we were 1 strike away, so we were kind of playing it safe for a while and not putting all of our episodes on YouTube, because we kind of wanted to go out with a bang and make an episode that would like absolutely get us kicked off,
right?
And just make it the most like offensive thing that's like just a big like middle finger to YouTube and censoring and all that. But we didn't do that
yet. It's understandable. It sucks because there is a chilling effect. You just spoke of it, and I'm guilty of doing it myself, and making sure that I don't say certain things in certain places because I don't want to deal with the repercussions. I don't want to be pulled out of the social media. I don't want to be kicked off YouTube.
Right.
And in fact, I don't even. YouTube's almost a secondary thing to me, with the fact that the live show is audio only. It's almost superfluous. But we'll catch a video like we are right now and throw that up there. But I have to edit so much more. I have to cut everything down. I have to worry about things. It's almost too much of a hassle to post in a place like YouTube anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's alternatives. We upload all sorts of Rumble and BitChute, but obviously those platforms aren't as big. But then again, you won't get censored there. I mean, the stupid thing is we don't even have that many. We like on YouTube, our subscribers are like 400, 500. It's like hardly anything. Like, why would they care that much about us? On Facebook, we have like 10,000 or so followers. On YouTube, it's like nothing. Like when you look at the other channels that have gotten deleted off YouTube, like I don't know, Stefan Molyneux, Alex Jones, I don't know, any number of folks that are against the mainstream. Like they have like millions of followers. We have like 400 on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like what threat are we posing to them? And is Hillary watching our video and being like, oh my God, these guys are bullying me?
Yeah, right. I need my safe space. Where's my safe space?
I mean, if she really cared, she would make us commit suicide.
Yes, right. Yes. She would
then
give
you
her
would know
master class.
she feels bullied. Yeah, she could teach us firsthand.
Well, it's a sad thing that it's not really a joke. I mean, that the Clinton family has left a trail of bodies behind them. It's unbelievable. They're gangsters like no other in our time, for sure. You really do. You really probably do have to be careful what you know about the Clintons. I wouldn't want to become friends with them, man. Boy, find out one of their secrets and get trapped in one of their.
Yeah, well, you could fly on Epstein's plane 26 times, and that's a luxury.
And nobody seems to really care about it. Isn't that funny how that happens? That whole thing. This is a big problem for for a lot of people. But this there's a whole bunch of things that happen. Like, okay, so what's happened over the past week here with the convoy, with the truckers convoy, where they've taken their money from them, and that's a huge thing. That's a big deal because it shows that a lot of these. I'm going to have to talk about this. I'm going to have to make it a point to talk about this particular aspect of this. The idea that these places like Coinbase or some of these digital marketplaces are safe places for people to put their money and to put their ideas. It's the same with these, YouTube or something like that. They sell it to you as being an open platform to be able to conduct your business, to share your ideas, and then as soon as you start doing that, they pull back the curtain and here's the government controls and here's our rules and you can't do this, and you can't violate that, and now. Face it, they're all guilty of it. They're all guilty of creating these places where all they did is set up an open, empty space, and all of us came in and built a community, and then they said, well, no, that community is not the right kind of community. We don't want that community here, and then they delete it, take it out.
Yeah, I know. They're going to show their true colors soon enough when the social credit system and stuff starts getting rolled out, as it probably will eventually.
It kind of has to, doesn't it?
What's that?
It kind of has to, doesn't it, at this point? I mean, that's what they've pushed us toward.
Right. I mean, yeah, aren't like surrounding areas doing that? Isn't like China doing it? Isn't Canada starting to do things like that?
Yeah, it's taken it's really slow to catch on here in America because they haven't. It's too open here. Access to things is too open here, so they haven't figured out how to cut off your access to things to make you sign up or to make you to get in line. But they do eventually. They always do.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the interesting thing with anarchy. I mean, a social credit type system is almost something that's often proposed in an anarchist society, but not to the degree where it's like shitty censorship.
Right. Well, what happens is that it becomes a central idea instead of a market idea, and it's forced upon you, and somebody else dictates what the standards are for it as opposed to the market setting them. And I think that's what's keeping it out of America right now, is that we expect the market to determine what our social scores are.
Right.
And
right.
I really do think that's it. They'll catch up eventually. They'll get it eventually here. There's no question about it, because there are too many people that are happy to do it. There are too many people that say, all right, well, yeah, this person has proven himself to be bad, so he shouldn't be able to openly communicate with the rest of the world. So his score is down here and he can't access this service. He can't be on this website. Yeah, that's it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you make a mean tweet, then you can't buy food for a week.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's where it's headed, right? I think didn't I even just share some meme that was just like that? That was literally that sort of concept. Is that well, here, this is what's happening. You just made a tweet and we don't like it. We don't like your politics, and so now your car. It's the lady at the checkout handing them back their card. Say, here, this your card isn't working right now because you said something we don't like. It's a scary thought.
Yeah, and if Dershowitz doesn't keep up his stance on things, then he won't be able to go to Little St. James anymore. That's the elite social credit system. You have to
Right.
fly. You have to fly coach for a month. You can't go on the Lolita Express anymore.
And yes, no private flight. Yeah. Well, I guess they probably do have their own social score in some ways. We all kind of do, so it's almost a natural thing. I get why it would come into place, but again, it comes down to that central control. We're just chatting. We're just chatting, and there's nothing in the world quite like live performance. We're off into hour number 2. Go to towardanarchy.com if you want to follow along. As always, I've shared the links there for you. You see, Tony Peck is my guest. He's director and a writer, along with Dan Gringle, of the political cartoon There Goes the Neighborhood. It's very funny, very poignant. I think that's important to stay current today. You really have to be talking about what's going on if you want to get that popular presence. Otherwise, you do just like I do, and you just ramble on for hours at a time and just put it out there and hope somebody trips across it as they're stumbling through the rest of the internet. But I shared the links for you. There's a link to Facebook. You can follow There Goes the Neighborhood on Facebook and keep up with them and the future, what's happening. And you can watch episodes on YouTube. I shared the YouTube channel there and the Patreon page as well, because once you find out that you like it and you want to support it, that'll be the best way to do it. Direct support for artists and creators. I've been looking around at that. What's your experience with Patreon? Is it been a positive thing so far?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to grow our Patreon so we could support ourselves on it. We both have full-time jobs outside of doing this, which sucks. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been good. I mean, Patreon hasn't given us any flack for anything yet. I mean, again, we're probably not large enough on there to really be a blip on their radar yet. Eventually, hopefully. I know there's a lot of content creators making a living off there, so.
Well, I haven't heard any of the horror stories of a YouTube as far as Patreon and people necessarily being silenced, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
No, yeah, I mean, there's nothing off the top of my head I recall. I know people have approached it with caution that are more, I don't know, whatever you want to say, not part of the mainstream or offensive and whatever. I've heard some things about what is it, GoFundMe or one of those other ones, popular ones that I think they've been taking pages down that they don't agree with or whatever. I forget which one it was. Was it GoFundMe or I forget.
I think it was GoFundMe in this particular instance. I think you're talking about the convoy and donations that were given to the convoy. And
is that what it was in relation to? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But it's been done before. That was part of the problem. That's what made it sort of problematic for me. Is it that it's been done before? It's consistent with their policies, and they can't take the money. I mean, you just sue them if they took the money. That's all there is to that. That'd be the simple solution to that. It's not their money. They can't keep it. So I had a little bit of a problem with people that had a problem with them doing this. But this again is in a direct relation to what I was talking about earlier. And these places, whether it's Facebook or Coinbase or GoFundMe or any of these others that set up these platforms promising to be something and then going back on it, and it costs them. It definitely costs them. I know GoFundMe was hit pretty hard with people doing sort of chargebacks and things like that after it came out. But once people were made aware of that, that the best way to transfer money to people is to give it to them directly, or to use non-custodial wallets. Just some geek stuff. I'll have to clarify on some of this stuff later. But these non-custodial wallets it's something outside of a Coinbase. Coinbase is an exchange. It's a place where you can keep your digital assets, but you can also sell them and trade them through their exchange service. And it's governed by the SEC, and so it has all the same problems that all these other places do, regardless of the currency and regardless of the promise of a Bitcoin or something like that, and the security of your transactions. And they just confiscate your wallet. But there are other wallets, these non-custodial wallets, that you keep your stuff in personally. Only you have a key to it, and so that's exactly what happened. As soon as people realized that that's what they needed to do, then they started attacking different places. I know they wrote to, the prime minister or somebody in Canada ended up writing to one of the major wallets out there, sending them a letter to, you have to give us the keys, and you have to allow us access, and you have to stop these funds. And they're like, look, we created, unlike all these other platforms that have done this stuff, we created a place here where people could come and store their digital assets, and we do not have access to it. Your SOL.
Yeah, I use Coinbase a little. I haven't even logged into it in over a year.
I have a Coinbase account because it's an exchange. It's a place where you can exchange your digital assets for other types of assets, including Federal Reserve notes, dollars that you can put directly into your bank account if your bank account doesn't already handle digital assets. So there's a reason to have a Coinbase account, but everybody should have their own individual non-custodial wallet that ultimately is just a series of digits that allows you to keep your digital assets separate from anything and everything else. Only you have access to them with that key. It's a very cool process and a cool promise. And there are places like Float. Float is an app created by anarchists that is it's kind of like a cross between Twitter and Facebook. One of the better alternative apps out there, along with TLB Talk. They offer you a place for free speech, but the thing with Float is that they also have integrated a non-custodial digital wallet into their service as well, so you can actually realize what they promised with some of the digital assets, and that's to be able to eliminate a third party in transferring assets from one to another. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are, and that's why it's even I do my little notes thing. I just have a little page that I put together each week, sort of February 13th last week, just a couple of notes, some things that I saw during the week. And the only thing other than my guest book, which is where your information is February 20th, talk about NFTs and non-custodial wallets. That was it. Because it's such a big thing right now with what's happening and people not understanding digital assets and the future of these things and what they mean as far as security goes. People keep talking about security. Ask Ross Ulbricht about security. Ask any of these other number of people that have been imprisoned for things that they've purchased or provided avenues for people to purchase things with digital assets. They found them. They locked them in cages.
Yeah, that's the go-to.
Yeah, isn't it though? They like that. Yeah, they just snatch you up for.
First the cage, then the suicide. Quote
Yes,
unquote.
yes. Well, who else? Oh, McAfee, John McAfee, another one.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I forgot about him.
yeah, he's another one in this chain of recent died in prison. Yeah,
Right, yeah. Wasn't
after.
he running for libertarian president at one point or
Yeah, I
something?
had him on the show. Actually, he was
Oh,
he
you did?
was yeah, he was a guest, and he was at the time he was still on. He was on the run. I mean, he'd been on the run for the last couple of years. Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. It was kind of fun. It wasn't long after that, but that they caught up with him, and then all of a sudden he's dead.
Have you had any other popular anarchist guys as
Oh,
guests yet?
yeah. I've had Adam Kokesh on the show, and I've had um, um, Bradley James. I don't know if you'll know all their names. It's interesting because I found myself in this place where I'm not particularly liked by any side of the anarchist groups.
Really? Why is that?
Because I happen to be pretty realistic about things. Say, well, we'll say we take the agorists. I have nothing against agorism as a practice, and of course, I have nothing against people who practice it. But what I do have a problem with is this pretending that you can change some words, but your activities are still the same, and you can call it different. So agorism is uh, counter economics.
Hmm.
But that's not a thing. There's no such thing. Economics is economics. It's a law. It's not a theory of things. It's things that people actually do. It's how money and goods and services are exchanged. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's how it works. And so you can say counter economics, but if you're doing the same things that you do in any economy, you're just doing it with your choice of currencies, you're kind of fooling yourself. And so what it really is that agorism is anti-capitalist. If you ask any of the major agorists, they will tell you. But you have all these other people, anarchists, libertarians, coming into agorism thinking, oh, well, I can be a capitalist. Well, not according to the people who are the biggest agorists, the people who set the stage for the agorist platform. Agorism is not capitalism. That's a quote from
Hmm.
Derek Bros. Derek Bros, somebody that I can't get their attention, can't get him on the show. Uh, you know, a leftist anarchist with great ideas, but goes around talking about agorism as if it's fundamental, as if what you do in agorism is fundamentally different from economics. It's not. It may be fundamentally different from the central economy, but the functions within it are the same. And if you would deny me as a capitalist my ability to conduct business in any way I see fit with others voluntarily, then I have a problem with your system.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Have you had Larkin Rose on yet?
No, can't get his attention.
No.
No, nope. And frankly, I don't want it because he falls. I've tried. I've repeatedly tried. I've reached out to him over and over again. Jeff Berwick, over and over again.
Hmm.
Come on the show. I've got a platform. It's people who need to hear what you're talking about. It's not your
Yeah.
typical anarchist audience. I have the prime place to have their voices. I've reached email, messenger, social media, Twitter, you name it, I've tried to reach out to them, and they won't pay any attention to me. None at
Is there
all.
some sort of philosophical divide?
That's what I
That-
don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I've had encounters with Larkin before, and the only thing when I first encountered him, I gave him flack about his dismissal of everybody's questions. Well, I don't. It's anarchy. I don't have to solve your problem. You have to solve it yourself. And I said, well, these people are asking genuine questions that they want to help understand, and your dismissal of them is I don't think it's productive. I don't think it's conducive to creating more or better anarchists in any sense of the word. And so I think I've been blackballed since that moment, since that one moment. Yeah.
It probably depends on the context, I guess. I mean, I've seen him answered questions like that before, but
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and that's
But it's also a very long conversation to have. It's usually not just a 1 or 2 sentence thing. Like, oh, what are we going to do about criminals? It's like, you can't just say, okay, this. I mean, you could give the answer and say, what would you do? Or it's personal responsibility, or you would do it non-violently. I mean, but if someone's actually inquiring, like, it's like you could have like an hour top conversation on like each individual question, really.
No question about it. Yeah, and that's absolutely fair. But here was my point with him in that regard, was that it's in this forum where you're making your ideas open to people, and thus they should be able to question them. And he's letting the social media tool and fools be an excuse for being a bad messenger and not being a good steward of the message that he's supporting. Better to not engage at all than to engage negatively, and that was my point with him. And
That's a fair point.
I don't know how it was taken. I really don't. I don't know. There's no way to know. I just know that I've reached out to, rock stars and presidential candidates, and guys who've been involved. That's coming up here. I have to remember to mention that. Matt Hawkins is going to be on the show. He's a comic book creator. He's been involved in the upper levels and the upper offices of places like Image and Top Cow. For the reach out to people that have barriers and walls. And guardians and fences and things, and have no problem getting through to them. But I guess I'm just another one of these anarchists that they don't have the time for. That's been my impression, and that's why I don't talk about it. I've never made it a big deal because I don't care. It's not a big deal. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not Larkin's defense attorney, so
no.
I don't have to harp on it.
No,
I mean, I'm a fan of his, so I mean, I don't really interact with him at all. He doesn't know who I am. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of current philosophers that I enjoy. I mean, Adam Kokesh, I know, has like some things I kind of disagree with.
Sure.
But overall, I like him, and I like that. I mean, he was kind of instrumental in kind of introducing me to anarchism from being a libertarian years ago.
Yeah.
I was actually at a Bilderberg protest in Virginia.
Oh, wow.
In like 2012 when I first graduated college, and a lot of those like guys were there. Adam Kokesh. This was back in college. I was still like kind of like a constitutionalist libertarian.
Sure.
And Jason Burmis, you're probably familiar with him, right?
Yep.
He was debating Adam Kokesh, and there's a video of it on YouTube. And I was there listening to it, and I found, because back then I didn't really know what voluntarism was or anarchy. I probably still thought it was like Mohawks and Molotovs. So when they were debating, it was Burmis debating Kokesh, and I found myself wanting Jason Burmis to like be winning this debate, but like I found myself kind of like siding with stuff Kokesh was saying. I was like, damn, that's kind of interesting. So then I started reading Murray Rothbard's books and Spooner and a lot of that stuff, and I became a minarchist then for like a few weeks, and then full-fledged anarchist voluntarist.
Yeah. What's the difference between a libertarian and anarchist? About 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that.
It's
It
true.
really is true. It is true. I've been up against it, bumped up against it all my life. It's an interesting thing because I'm from Colorado, and the Libertarian Party started in Colorado, and the Libertarian Party was started by anarchists mostly. They were all anarchists of various different flavors for the most part. And my mentor was one of the earliest members of the Libertarian Party. He just died last year, unfortunately. Um, I Yeah, so I've been bumping up against it for a long time and made my decisions a long time ago. I tried to play along. In 2012, um, I hung out with Adam Kokesh and smoked a bowl with him. We'll hold that thought. We're going to go into a break. We'll come right back. We're talking with Tony Peck. He is director and writer, along with Dan Gringle of political cartoon There Goes the Neighborhood on YouTube. We'll be right back. Toward Anarchy.com, and if you like what you've been hearing Tony and I talk about, the ideas that obviously have framed the work that he's doing, that he and Dan are doing with There Goes the Neighborhood, support it. The links are there. There's a link to the Facebook page so you can follow along. There's a link to the YouTube page so that you can be sure to watch some of the episodes and really get a feel for what it is that they're talking about, and the art and the expression that they're doing. That's what we've been chatting about today, just talking about anarchism and art and expression, and boy, some of the limitations that you run up against with some of these platforms and the different tools, and it's just a conversation that I hope never ends. I hope that we are always able to draw on a pool of talent like Tony and Dan to bring us ideas counter really to the system in forms like this. I think it's a fantastic thing. You can help support them in their work as they go into the future with There Goes the Neighborhood by visiting the Patreon link there. It's patreon.com/TGTN. And I've been looking into you. We talked about that a little bit in the conversation about these platforms and whether you can trust them or not. And as far as creators like yourself, Tony, and the things that I do, podcasters, it seems like Patreon is the place to go to try to reach your audiences directly and to get them to fund the work that they like. So I
So
keep
far, we'll see how much we piss them off.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's it.
We might blow it for everybody.
Time will tell is the thing with some of these, because they're new in terms of all of this is kind of new still, really, in these terms, and so we don't know what it'll be like, what the platform will be like. Spotify stood up so far.
Yeah, I think Neil Young probably would have beat us in that battle, but
You think maybe you don't quite have the pull yet of a Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I don't
Someday
think so.
you get there. I don't know if anybody ever gets to that pull. Boy, that's a big one right there. That's a huge deal that he's got going on right there, and he has the ears of a whole lot of people. It's an interesting thing to watch happen. I'm glad he's the one that has to fight the battle and not me.
Get him on the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem to do a whole lot of shows. He does his show every day, and that's it.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, he seems to walk in on sort of Tim
He has Michael Malice on a lot. That's kind of good.
Yeah,
I
Michael
feel like
Malice.
that's the only anarchist he's really had on in a while. He's had Stefan Molyneux on back when he actually was an anarchist. I don't know what happened to him now. He got dementia or something.
Well, I think a lot of people did over the last sort of 6 years or so. There's a lot of so-called anarchists that slipped and fell right into the
Fell
Trump
off the
trap.
wagon.
Yeah. It's kind of
You have to get back into recovery. AA, Anarchist Anonymous.
You got to get back to your roots, my friend. It's unfortunate to watch some of those people fall under the weight of their own celebrity, and I think that's kind of what happened to Molyneux.
Unfortunately, I used to really enjoy his debates and his kind of approach to debating. It was kind of from a very, I don't know, analytical, like I don't know, it's hard to explain. It was like watching a professor kind of debate,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of has its perks, good and bad. But I don't know, I used to like him when he was debating Peter Joseph and back during that era. Remember that guy? Whatever happened to him? The
Yeah, I
Venus
don't know.
Project?
That's when you said that, I was like, wow.
I know it's kind of
Yeah, I mean,
throwback.
instantly, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I don't know. Some of these guys disappear. That's I mentioned Bradley James earlier, big anarchist and has for years websites and social media and had a huge Twitter following, and then all of a sudden he just shut it all off,
Yeah, I know it's strange.
walked away. I I people got to do what they got to do, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It's kind of weird. Like he wrote books about it. Now it's like does he still even promote that? Like does he like did he burn all of his old books?
Yeah, yeah.
Is he an anarchist book
You
burner
wonder.
now?
Well, and you don't know the answer, so that just creates more wonder. Well, why? Why is that? Speculation. Um, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with me. It's been really cool talking with you. I wish you the best of luck in what you're doing there, and I hope you'll come back. Maybe bring Dan with you sometime, and we'll
Yeah, we got to
chat
get
some
him
more.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having us on, or just me for now. But it's good to get this out to your audience. Oh, I'm running into the bumper.
Yeah, no. Well, come back and I'll give you a few more minutes. I mean, I still have another half hour of the show if you got a couple more
All right,
minutes.
yeah, I'll stick around for a few more
Okay,
minutes.
cool. Well, we'll come right back here. We'll chat a little bit more with Tom Peck. I guess I'm out on that one. That one's gone beyond me. Amazing Spider-Man number 129, first appearance of the Punisher. That's like a 6 or something. It's already up to $2,200. When I found it, it was at $99. it's getting out of reach. Got to buy a comic book. Uh, I own a comic book shop, so
Oh.
that's my excuse for playing with comic books is it's a business. Chatting with Tony Peck, he is one of the creators behind There Goes the Neighborhood, this wonderful little cartoon that you can find on YouTube, and you can support him on Patreon. And just about about all the current topics and things, whatever is happening in the world, you can find him sort of addressing it, whether it's the Maxwell trial and Epstein, and I assume there must be another one of those in the works after the after this
Yeah, she's
past
gonna get a
week.
retrial now, right?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I mean, how's this whole
That's what
thing
it's
going to
looking
play
like.
out? Yeah,
I
and
know.
still we
Jeez.
don't know any of the names or anything.
No, they didn't release any. I mean, there's like hundreds of customers, and they didn't release any.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's funny because we know. I mean, we know.
Well, we know some of them. We know
Yeah,
some of them. Yeah.
we certainly know some of the high profile people for
I mean, there's
sure.
got to be like literally hundreds of more that we don't know.
You would think, right?
I mean, over all the years, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and knowing that ultimately Epstein was a part of a chain of of this goes back for years and years.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Directly in this chain that Epstein was involved in. It's a CIA honeypot that
Hmm.
has dated back for years and years and years. I've seen a couple of different pieces on it, and I shared some of it on the website, so I could probably find one of them again. But ultimately, it it showed this whole chain of connect between the house and the ideas behind surveilling people and getting the compromising these rich people, and we're seeing that these tech people and these science people, they're all getting caught up in this, and that's just a few of the names that we've seen. And like you said, there must be so many more, and such a uh, yeah. I even like to
Well,
think
that's the
about it.
thing. They I mean, they tried sweeping it under the rug, but since Epstein and Ghislaine are front and center now, they're trying to make it as if they're the end-all, be-all to this thing. Oh, Epstein's dead and Ghislaine's arrested. Okay, child trafficking's done.
Right, that's it. That's
That's not the
exactly
case
it.
at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and that was the message we tried getting across in our latest episode I was telling you about when we did the Epstein-Ghislaine rom-com.
Right.
Where there's more players behind them and there's people above them. Like, it's not like they were running the whole show globally. Like, there's people like giving them orders, like Les Wexner. He's one of the biggest ones that don't get mentioned either. When Maria Farmer, one of the Epstein victims, she's given a lot of interviews, and she was saying, because she was also she was close to Epstein and Ghislaine, and she was also doing some sort of like artist residency at the Les Wexner mansion, the CEO of Victoria's Secret. And he was kind of the guy that would bring these young women in, young girls, sorry, they're not even women yet,
Yeah.
and give them, promising them modeling careers and stuff like that. And that's how they would get them to become the Epstein's little victims. They would be like, oh, you're going to be an actress, so you want to be an artist, oh, you want to be a model. And then they bring them in through Victoria's Secret and these other modeling agencies. And Les Wexner's not getting drugged through the mud. I mean, Alan Dershowitz kind of is, but like he's a customer. Prince Andrew, he's a customer. Like they're not like running things.
Well,
like
and
Les Wexner that I think are more had like a managerial role in this whole evil global scheme.
Well, and that lends some credence to the notion that this was beyond them, that there was something more, and that's what that's one particular read that I wish I could remember exactly where it was. I'll see if I can find it while we're sitting here. But this one in particular read about Epstein, and it really just showed how had been something that they'd been doing for a long time, setting people up like this, and
right. It was a giant blackmail operation.
Yeah.
That was really
that's it. It was a giant blackmail operation. Let's see if I can find it in here. No, that's not it. Possibly this one. Let's see. Nah, I don't see it. Don't see it off the top. I could end up looking around for a while, but
yeah. But one of the things Maria Farmer mentioned that I started to say and then got sidetracked was when she like first got started with Epstein, he was like going around the house showing all these things that Les Wexner gave to Epstein for literally $1. Like one of his New York mansions, he said, Les Wexner gave me this mansion for $1.
They were really
and she said
good
that was part of the scheme with how they would kind of like hide all the money and stuff, is they would do these like real estate swaps that I don't know how like laundering and stuff works, but like I guess maybe he literally had to sell it to him, so that's why they gave him like the price of $1, which is like ridiculous, I guess. And they would keep changing hands on these properties, and I mean, I don't know the ins and outs on how all that works, but that's one of the things on how they were able to like to beat the system in terms of hiding money, and not to mention their influence and political influence and
well,
economic
that's it. Yeah, that's how they're really able to beat the system, is they've got pictures of
right.
people in positions of power.
Multifaceted,
yeah. Well, and so then nothing will ever be done about them. That it'll never stop. And when you stop it there, it'll go on to somebody else. Somebody else will pick up the ball and run with it, because it's more than just that one guy in that one mansion. And it is, I think it's been proven over and over again. It's an area that you have to be careful where you go walking through the information and what you find and who you talk to. You definitely don't want to be one of the people who knows something that other people know that that you don't share. I don't want to know what it is that you know if other people don't know it, kind of thing. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of people running around, I think, over the years, all the way, from Boys Town to the White House, to Epstein's mansion, to Florida, to New York, to Nebraska, back to DC, it's been shown over and over again.
There's job openings now for Epstein and Ghislaine's old jobs. I think I saw a listing on Indeed.com.
Yeah. How did they put that one? What was the tagline on that?
Well, someone's got to take over. They got to have auditions, I guess. It's gonna be like the new reality TV. It's like the new American Idol. They'll do auditions for the new Madam and Pimp.
They leave out the part where the retirement plan sucks.
Yeah. You get a free noose.
Yeah, that's it. A nice cold jail cell and a free noose for a retirement plan. I like to think that that they were killed. I don't like to think that they took the easy way out. You know what I mean?
I think you're safe in that assumption.
Yeah, right. What happened to the security guards with Epstein?
They fell asleep, and the cameras all malfunctioned too.
Right, and I
hate that coincidence.
They just got off here recently, right? Did they just got the charges on them were just dismissed or something?
Oh, the guards. I'm sure. I'm sure.
I don't remember what it was. I don't follow it too closely because I'm not crazy about the stuff. There are people abusing people everywhere all the time. So this one particular group of people who are abusing people doesn't necessarily impress me. I don't have to follow it.
Sure.
Yeah. And in fact, it actually distracts from, and I think that's kind of what we always got to in this conversation, is that the idea that these people really distract from the true violators and the bigger picture that is human trafficking and violating people for whatever, for money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's good and bad. You're right. It is a distraction from, I guess, other issues at hand. But
even within itself, that's the thing. They're the big ones. Like you said, they're the ones. Exactly. They're going to get the attention. But the reality is that people are being abused and being trafficked across the nation all the time. They have nothing to do with them. They were just one of a number of small little cults that do this, and there's bigger than them. There's a bigger international and national trafficking in women and just people in general, but oftentimes it's young girls and it's for sexual favors. They just busted some people here in Topeka. It's almost a cliche, but it was the local massage houses, and they busted 6 of them in this ring and arrested, I think, ultimately 3 people to be charged with trafficking in people, and that is a much bigger problem as far as the number of people who are being abused and have been abused and all over the world every single day than just Maxwell and Epstein. Right. Maxwell and Epstein is just important because they're tied to the Hollywood and political elite.
Yeah, which is important. I mean, tying it back to anarchy, that their grasp on many politicians wouldn't really be as effective to the populace as a whole if the government system wasn't there to be manipulated.
well, people like that really couldn't take advantage of the honeypot, I guess. That's what it's called when you use sex to trap people, the honeypot. They couldn't use the honeypot against these people if they had no power. If there wasn't something that they could get from them, there would be no reason to do it to them. So there'd be no reason to have the service set up in the first place to serve these individuals, because they just wouldn't be there.
That's the circle we were looking to close for the whole interview.
Yeah, right.
How does trafficking lead to anarchy?
It's a valid point, because the first thing that somebody's going to say is that anarchy, well, in anarchy there won't be any government to stop it. Well, there won't be any what you really mean is if there won't be any government to sanction it and
Yeah.
let those who do it get away with it. That's what you're really saying.
Did government even stop it? When the FBI raided his house, they found a whole bin of hard drives, and they didn't have a warrant because that's just some weird, fake, arbitrary government thing. So they had to go get the warrant. Then when they came back, the hard drives were all missing. Did you ever hear that story?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then supposedly.
And then then Epstein's lawyer brought them back. And okay, don't worry, they weren't wiped or anything.
Yeah. 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 That was it. Yeah. They brought them back and that they were supposedly intact. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And there weren't 30 cameras pointed at the Pentagon on 9/11.
Oh my gosh.
It's probably 300, but why? Why do they continue to do this? Because it works, right? Like we said earlier.
It was the 20th anniversary of 9/11 this past September. We did a 9/11 special.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to check that out, unless they have personal triggers to 9/11.
Some people do. I've had people.
I mean, I don't blame them. It's fine.
It.
It's fine if they do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, right, to each their own, but you at least have to give it a try. If you're interested to know what he's talking about, we're talking about, of course, the cartoon, There Goes the Neighborhood. The links are at towardanarchy.com. Just look for February 20th. There's a link to the Facebook page. There's a link to watch episodes on YouTube. You can hunt down that 9/11 episode, and there's a link there to support them on Patreon. Again, this is one of the best ways I think to reach people, and so it's really cool that you do this and that you've found a place that you can make it work for you, especially given the learning curve. You're not a digital artist.
Right. But yeah, I think we found where we can do it without it being completely crappy.
Well, you found a means to an end, and it's functional and it works, and the message still gets across. And I think that's important for people of the show, people who listen to the show, because a lot of what I talk to is about just personal development and communications, and a lot of that is through artistic expression, because there's so many benefits to artistic expression, both for the artist and for the people who are experiencing the art. And so I find that people need encouragement to pursue their art, because they can come up against a barrier like, oh, I want to create a cartoon, but I don't know how. I don't have the tool set. What do I do about it? Well, I go out and I find some tools and I find a way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you could teach yourself to do anything, really.
Absolutely. I'm the guy that'll tell you that there's no such thing as a prodigy. There's just people who put in the work.
Yeah, and there's so many tutorials for free and stuff on YouTube on how to do like anything. Audio, if you don't know how to do audio stuff, editing, video, editing 2D, animation, 3D, any video.
I've been working on cars and computers and my technology and just anything else that I come across all my life. And I still will pull up YouTube, need to go look at, what I have to do this to the car. All right, I'll pull up YouTube and take a look and see what somebody else has done and try to find the best, easiest way to do something myself with an unlimited knowledge at our fingertips now.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, YouTube's great as long as you're not cyberbullying Hillary Clinton.
Or how dare you make any reference to anyone of a different color than you or a different race than you, because then that's
we did do a BLM episode and we got flack for that too.
I bet. All right, we'll come back. We got to wrap it up. We'll finish up here with Tony Peck. We'll be right back. Okay, so next week on the 27th, yeah, that's the date. On the 27th, Rod Weber still scheduled to be on the show. He's creator of 2020, The Dumpster Fire, the documentary. He's a little bit of an agitator and troublemaker, and so we'll be chatting with him about his film and about his street activism. March 6th, Matthew Wojtecki is back. He has a new book to the follow-up to Brush Fire, and I will hopefully have a copy of it here before he shows up. There's no way I'll end up reading it before he gets here, but hopefully I'll have a copy of it before we have that conversation. March 13th, Michael Margouche. He's an artist and creative individual. He's got a long list of credits and things that he's done as an artist and as someone who's looking to find human values outside the system. So I thought that would be a great conversation. He's another one of these pod match guys that I've come across, and these guys are just turning out to be such great characters. And then March 20th, tentatively scheduled, Matt Hawkins, the president and COO, sorry, of Top Cow Productions, one of the original people who helped create Image Comics back in the day. Really a figurehead in the comic book industry that you may not ever have heard of. Everybody's heard of the Stan Lees and many of these other guys that are associated with creating some of these characters like Superman and Batman and stuff like that. But Matt Hawkins is a prolific creator of some fantastic characters in independent comic book publishing, so it's going to be fantastic to talk with him. Been chatting with Tony Peck. Time to wrap it up. Unfortunately, only a couple of minutes left of the show. Again, I really appreciate you hanging out with me, man. It's been a pleasure getting to chat with you and getting to know you, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. I wish you the best of the luck with There Goes the Neighborhood, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because we're trying to grow our audience of anarchists. A lot of our audience right now is probably, a lot of them are like mainline conservative types, maybe libertarian, some anarchists, which is fine. I don't care what ideology someone is, but we're trying to, I'm personally an anarchist. I don't want to speak for Dan Gringle, but I mean, that's where we're coming from. And I don't know how many animated anarchist cartoon political stuff there are out there.
Yeah, not enough. There's not enough, but the quality of what you're doing, I think, is amazing. Considering it's really just the two of you doing all the work. Hey, if you need some voice guys, give me a call. I'll throw some voices down for you in an episode or something. That'd be awesome. No, it's really great that you guys are doing that together and that you found your thing and you found your voice, and it's all I can hope for anybody.
Yeah, we got a new episode probably coming out in a week or so. It's kind of about how FBI sets up patsies when they're creating really the terrorism and stuff themselves.
Oh. That's
it's a
fantastic.
Crazy thing. When I started reading more about it, I was like, holy shit, this is like tragic almost.
Oh yeah, no, it's a story. Yeah, it's a story that repeats itself over and over again with the FBI at the center of manipulating some poor dummy. That's what it boils down to. All right, that's it. Thank you so much, brother. You take care, Tony Peck, and we will be back with Toward Anarchy next week. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, it was fun. The hour and a half flew by. Sorry if I hijacked the last half hour.
No, not at all. I'm happy to let you chat. I wish I would shut up a little bit, but everything we were talking about today just hit on. It's everything that's going on right now. So my mind's just on it,
Yeah. I know you're probably booked up for a while, but if you ever want us back on, I'm down.
Yeah, definitely. I will reach out again here real soon, and we'll try to get the both of you on, and we'll chat some more. And
yeah, that'd be cool.
I thought about trying to like air a short one or something, but I don't know if there's a good enough effect. The audio without the we're talking about making cartoons, and it just might not have the same effect without the video to go with it. So I decided against doing it, but maybe we can do something like that next time. Maybe you have one that is maybe not one that has to be watched. You know your work.
Yeah. I'll have to think. Yeah, what would work as audio?
Yeah,
that'd be
maybe
interesting.
give it a thought. It'd be something to share with them. It's one thing to say, well, here's the link, go and check it out. It's another to kind of throw it at them. But I was watching through some of them and I'm like, God, you're doing the things where you're taking like Ghost or something like that, and that's going to be completely missed in the audio because the
Yeah.
audio doesn't have anything to do with Ghost.
Sure, sure.
It's that video that does. And so maybe we can come up with something. That'd be real cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. I'll let you go, and I'll hit you up later with when the archive is up and when this is edited together. Well, not edited, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to
up.
promote it more too. Like it happened on a weird week where everything I've been posting, even unrelated to this, and like a week prior, like has been getting like no views.
Well,
And I feel like I'm in this weird like vortex right now where Facebook is like particularly censoring like my posts right now.
it may be that they're in the middle of just updating some of their crap like they always do. Who knows? They're so good at screwing that thing up. My thing is that I've found that the only way to advertise this, to share this, is right before the show, so that anybody who sees it right at that time can possibly tune in, and then after the replay, after the archive is up, because then no matter what, when they find it, they can listen to it.
So is there going to be video archive of this too?
Yeah, there'll be this. Yeah, just our conversation. Yeah. Yeah, it's still recording. In fact, you should be able to see it up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. That. Yeah.
So where do you put the video archive? Because when I've seen your archives, it was only audio.
Yeah, it's only audio. I post it to YouTube. I'll make sure you get a copy though if you want the copy.
Yeah, because I'll share that as well. But I'm actually posting more. It's just like weird. Like everything I've been posting has gotten like 3 likes, 5 likes, but usually we have like way more than that. On Facebook, we have like a decent following.
Yeah, no, I saw that too, and you're absolutely right, because I was just looking at the page last night, and I thought I noticed the same thing. The few posts there is just the sort of 3 or 4 likes, and you have sort of almost 12,000 followers or something like that. Yeah, and
so
followers.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's them. I like to think that. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. This idea that we're all sort of being watched. I mean, we're all being watched, but then of course the circles that we run in, there's some number of people who like to talk about, oh yeah, they're watching me all the time, and they're messing with my posts, and they're messing with my head, and they're broadcasting signals, and I pick up the CIA lunchroom in my teeth, and in the fillings of my teeth. Yeah. All these, and most of the time it's just, oh come on, just stop it. They're already a bunch of screw ups up there. They're not following you. They're but then there's the guys that are constantly sort of making not necessarily thinly but veiled threats against sort of law enforcement and politicians and things. And I'm thinking, yeah, you might be being watched.
Right. Well, I think a lot of it now, it's not even like there's like an employee who's like, all right, let me censor this cartoon page. Like a lot of it's like an algorithm now.
It's
that
the
I think
AI. Yeah.
It's picking up, that's picking up buzzwords and keywords and that's like automatically just like shoving it down in the algorithm. I don't know. You probably know how that stuff works more than I do, but
you're right. What you're saying is right. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what they're doing, and the only way to combat it is to keep getting the likes. That's why they have to kill a page, because they can't keep it down if it keeps getting likes and keeps getting shares. They can't. Yeah. No matter what the content is, no matter how badly they don't want it to be out there.
I know, it's true.
All right, man. I'll let you get on, and like I say, I'll hit you with the video and everything as soon as I got it all together.
All right, sweet. When do you think it'll be up? How long does it usually take? A few days?
The archive, the audio will be available tonight. The video, I might possibly get it done tonight. I'm so bad about doing the videos, like I was saying earlier in the show. YouTube is such an afterthought for me, because it's hard to get traction there. You said it yourself. Having sort of. Yeah, and then they put these ridiculous sort of demands on your ability to monetize and things like that. You can't even begin to monetize until you have sort of 1,000 followers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they do have limits like that.
Yeah. pretty obnoxious. So yeah, it ends up being low priority for me, but I'll make this one a good point because then we have all this extra too to tack on there, and that's always fun for behind the scenes after the show was over conversation. All right, brother, you take care. I'll be in touch, man.
All right, sweet. Take
We'll see
care.
ya.